Thank you, Caroline, for that awesome introduction. So as she said, my name is Sarah. I'll be leading you through some of the cutting demonstrations we have for you today, along with my other teammate, Megan. I'm really excited to work with you all, and I hope that you're learning a lot so far about breakfast foods from around the world. Before we get started with the breakfast burrito, let me explain what we'll be cutting today and some knife safety basics. At any point during the demonstration, if you have any questions or concerns, just call out my name in case I'm looking down at the cutting board and I don't see a raised hand. We want everyone to feel comfortable and confident in their knife skills. So today, using our chef's knife, we will be slicing green onions, deseeding and dicing a bell pepper, and mincing garlic. I know that all kind of sounds like a lot, but we promise it's much simpler than it sounds. For every part of the demonstration today, please do not begin until we say so, just to make sure everyone is preparing the food safely. All right, first things first. Anytime we cut anything, it is extremely important that we have the right technique down first. When using a knife, you must use the pinch and claw method. So first, you grab the handle of your knife with your dominant hand. In that case, for me, it's the right hand. And then you take your pointer finger and your thumb and you pinch them together on the non-sharp side of the top of the blade like this. You see the thumb on the other side. Everyone got it? Okay. Can everyone show me what they have? All right, awesome. Put your knives down. Let's move on to the claw. When it comes to green onions, it's important to know which part we can eat and we can cut so we don't waste any part of the produce. So we're going to use the full pinch and claw method to cut down the stalk. The stalk is this part right here that's more green, and then the white part is the bulb. So, making a barrier with your fingers so that they are straight down, like this. Put a claw on the root or the bulb.
That's what I mean.
That's why it's called the claw. Everyone got that? Okay, so now put your hand off, and I'm going to cut that. So I'm going to put it back on real quick, but everyone just wait until I say so, just in case there's any questions. Okay, so I'm going to put my claw back on, take my pinch, and now remove the bulb from the stalk. So now we have two parts right here. And as you can see, the bulb is a little tougher, and it's all white, and the other part is green. So you can just put that bulb to the side. Everyone? Okay. Everyone can begin. And if you have any questions, I'm up here. Good job. Great technique. So we have this part right here, and you might be thinking, well, that's kind of a waste, right? But what we can do with this, we can compost it, or another little tip is if you take all your roots of the veggies you're not going to use, you can put them in a container in the freezer, and when that container is all full, you can make a little veggie broth with water and your fruits. All right, now back to the green onions. So using a rocking motion. So now we're going to go back to the stalks, put them down, and using a rocking motion with our pinch and claw, never leave the cutting board. Just keep going down the line, and we're going to make those slices. Okay, please begin now. Great job, everyone. So you can use the pale green white part of your stalk and the light green part of your stalk in the burrito. The leaves and the root we don't typically use in a burrito, but you could use the leaves in a garnish. We actually have cilantro for you as a garnish later, and herbs can be a great garnish in all different types of recipes. That's all for the green onions, so leave them on the side of your cutting board, and now Megan will come up and teach the next part about the peppers. Thank you, Megan, for that great explanation on deseeding and dicing bell peppers. So the last knife skill we're going to do today is mincing garlic. So my lovely teammates are passing around cloves of garlic that look just like this, and we'll all be mincing them together. So as you've probably noticed by now, if you've received your garlic clove, it has this flaky skin that we're going to want to peel off. So let's all go ahead and do that now. So just peel like that until underneath you feel this fleshy, sticky core part of the garlic. That's what we're going to want to mince. Does everyone have their garlic? Okay, let's move on to mincing. You can just move your skin to the opposite end of the cutting board. Now the first step in mincing is to smash the garlic, which is actually a pretty fun step. So lay the flat side of the garlic down on the cutting board, and you're going to hover your knife right on top. And just remember, I'm going to do this first, and then everyone can do it when I give a signal, or I'll just let you know. So we're going to smash this garlic, apply pressure, and like that. So now we have a flattened garlic clove. So now, kind of like what we did with the green onions, we're going to do with the garlic, but we're going to go back and forth. And if you feel like your garlic needs a little more smashing, you can go back and do it again. That's better. Okay. Just pinch and claw. And just start to mince little pieces. And once you have the first rough chop, just keep going back and forth with stabilizing your hand, stabilizing the knife with your hand, until you have a nice tiny mince. All right, I think everyone gets the gist by now. And one more thing, to get all this extra off, put your knife downwards like that, the sharp end down, slide one finger down, and that's just the safest way to remove any excess. Okay, so I think everyone got the gist, but if you don't, ask me some questions. I'll be walking around, and you can begin. It's looking good. It didn't seem like anyone had that many questions, so I went back up and continued to mince my garlic because I like a really nice fine mince, so I don't really want any big chunks. That's really what makes a mince a mince. And they don't have to be completely uniform, but you just want them small. That's the idea. So I think that wraps up our cutting demonstration for today. Everyone did a great job. That was a lot of cutting. We did the garlic, the peppers, and the green onions. So all these ingredients will help our burritos be super flavorful. And next, Madison and Caroline will be leading everyone through the skillet demonstration of the breakfast burrito. So quite literally, we will be heating things up. Enjoy! Now that we're all sitting together and have tasted our breakfast burritos, let's take some time to reflect on what we did today before we move on to our final item of the agenda, trivia. Feel free to keep eating and finish your food while we ask you some questions. We hope this can be a fun discussion for everyone who wants to share. All right, first question. So what kinds of breakfast foods do you eat in your culture? I heard breakfast noodles, crumpets, and shakshuka. One more? Okay, crepes. All right, those all sound delicious. I've actually had everything but breakfast noodles, but I'll definitely be looking up a recipe for that later because those sound awesome. All right, next question. Did you like the burrito we made today? And feel free to be honest. You thought it was yummy? Very good. Okay, so far good responses. Okay, one more. Okay. Yeah, honestly, it's not going to be everyone's favorite, and that's totally fine. And it's great that we're all trying new foods for the experience, but we don't all have to, like them. What was your favorite part of the breakfast burrito? It could be an ingredient or, something we did today. This is an open ended question. So, right there. You like the peppers and the green onions? Yeah, I did too. Over here, the cheese. That was definitely good. And one more. You liked the whole bite? Yeah, when you get to eat something in a wrap like that, or a tortilla in this case, you can definitely taste all the flavors melding together, and that's really delicious. Another question. Here we go. So, do you think you would make these at home? And also be honest, because we want to know for our next lessons and just in general, we'd like to know your honest opinion. You definitely would? Cool. If you had time. Yeah, we know sometimes cooking can feel like a lot in the morning, but it's important to remember that you could make these ahead and freeze them using aluminum foil and resealable bags to, wrap them up and then put them in the bag. And taking them out and microwaving them, if that's something that you have in your living space, that would be a great grab and go breakfast with lots of protein. Anyone else? Okay, moving on to the next question. So one last question before we move on to trivia is actually if you have any questions for us. So we're going to turn the tables and we'll be answering the questions this time. So just raise your hands and we'll answer. Could you put sauces on top of the burrito? Yeah, you definitely could. You can make it your flavor style with the sauces or leave it plain. It's entirely up to you. There are different ways you could make it less of a classic burrito by changing the spices and the herbs and adding sauces that are unique to your country. I love ranch dressing, so I'd probably just add that. But you can try anything that you want to. That's what makes cooking fun, for sure. If you froze it though, you may not want to add the sauce till after you've heated it up. Next question? Okay, cool. So you said you can freeze breakfast burritos. Does that mean if I make wraps or burritos for lunch or dinner with meat and raw vegetables, I could freeze those ahead of time? So that's a really good question. So if the vegetables are things such as lettuce or tomato slices with high water content, they may not freeze very well and they might get super icy in the freezer. But when you use cooked vegetables that have been dehydrated by the heat, they usually taste better after being frozen. So if you're going to make wraps or burritos with, fresh ingredients, you might want to cook some of them first and leave the fresh ingredients for after being heated, like with the sauces we mentioned earlier. Okay, so one last question just for time's sake, but feel free to ask us anything after class. We'll be right up at the front and ready to answer anything. Okay, in the back? Okay, so you're saying if you're a vegan, how can you adapt this recipe to make it suitable for your diet? Okay, so let me think about that real quick. So you could definitely use tofu or chickpeas to replace the egg and still have that hearty protein and have that keep it vegan. And maybe for the cheese, you could use nutritional yeast or a non-dairy cheese alternative that you find at a store. But really, we want this to be as easy for your lifestyle as possible. So just add in things that in your pantry that you may already have, just to make it flavorful and give you those nutrients. That's a great question. We know that a lot of people have different allergies or lifestyle preferences, so it's great to ask those questions. Okay. So that's all for the discussion. Thank you for participating. We definitely learned a lot, and we hope you did too. Let's move on to the trivia. This is going to be our game portion of the lesson, and we hope you'll have a lot of fun. Okay, Madison, take it away.